Hey guys, welcome to MNMM IELTS. This is Mohit. Today in this video, what I'll be discussing is about the writing section. So there are a few tips that I would like to share with all of you, that if you follow those tips in your writing section for your IELTS exam, it will help you to get a very good score, your desired score, so that when you're working hard, you're also working smart, because sometimes what happens is we may work hard a lot, but because we are not following the correct strategy, the correct tip, that can lead us not getting our desired score in spite of working hard. So let us see what those tips are. Let's get started. The first tip that I have for all of you is read the question and understand it properly. Now, what do I mean when I say this? When I'm saying this, a lot of times you'll see, especially in your essay writing, that they will say, explain the reasons or what are the advantages and disadvantages of so and so topic. So when you read these lines, you have to understand that they're asking you the reasons, which means plural, right? And advantages, disadvantages, these are all plural words, which means they expect you to elaborate or describe more than one reason, more than one advantage and disadvantage. So over there, if you just describe one, whether it is a perfect example, a perfect scenario, but because you've only explained one, you will not get a very good score. So you have to make sure that you read the question properly and you understand what is the expectation out of you. Are you supposed to describe one scenario, or are you expected to describe multiple scenarios? And in the first place, you'll have a clear picture of what you need to do, what structure you need to follow, how many paragraphs you'll require, because the more scenarios you need to describe, the more paragraphs you will require, the more writing will be required. So it is very crucial to go through this point in the first place. The next scenario that I would love to describe over here is about providing relevant answers. The word relevant holds a very important meaning here, and focusing on the flow of your writing, your link, your flow is again very crucial. So if we discuss the first part, providing relevant answer, what does that mean? Providing relevant answers means that, let's say the topic or the essay is about advantages and disadvantages of technology these days. So when you read that essay title, when you understand the essay title, what you have to do is you have to make sure that from the start of the essay till the end of the essay, you have a stand, you take a stand. All right, let's say over here they want you to be equal, they want you to have equal stand on advantages and disadvantages. So in introduction and conclusion, you will be neutral, where you'll describe the scenario about technology and the use of it in these days. But at the same time, you have to make sure that in your second paragraph, which is your body one, you can describe about the advantages or disadvantages, any one, and in the next paragraph you describe about the opposite one. So let's say second paragraph is advantages, third paragraph you can focus on disadvantages, and both these paragraphs should have the advantages and disadvantages of technology only and nothing else. So once you finish your writing, your typing, you have to make sure you proofread your work, you read every single line and make sure that were you on track throughout the essay or throughout your writing. Was there any line or was there any paragraph when you went off track, when you started talking or discussing about something that is not related to the topic? If you find any line or any paragraph like that, you need to correct it immediately, because if you start describing, discussing, mentioning anything that has nothing to do with your title, you will not get a good score, because you start, most of the time you will see this happen sometimes when we are so lost in writing a good work. We start with something that is definitely related to the topic, but then eventually there comes a point when we are so indulged in writing your essay or your letter that we may start writing stuff, or we may start writing phrases that are actually not related to our title, which can be the reason that we will not get our desired score. So please don't do that. Please proofread your work before you submit your work, because you want to make sure that whatever you have written has complete relevance with our title, with our subject. The next thing that I have written over here is focus on your flow. Now, a very good example is when we watch a movie or when we watch a series, right? Or even if we watch a short video. Why do we enjoy it? Because we watch that video or movie from the start till the end. Imagine you start watching a movie after 25 minutes or after half an hour or 45 minutes. Okay, so if it is a 2-hour movie and you start watching from 45 minutes, you will not understand a lot of it, you will not connect with the movie easily, you'll feel bored, and that topic, that subject might not interest you even if it is a very interesting subject. Something very similar over here as well. From the first line till the last line, we have to make sure that whatever we write, the reader should be interested. The reader should feel that whatever you have written has a connection from start to the end of the story, which means when you finish a line and you start a new line, there should be a connection between the previous line and the next line. Similarly, when you finish a paragraph and you start a new paragraph, there should be a link between the previous paragraph and the new paragraph. There should be a story, a flow that you have to be careful of. You can't describe something in paragraph 1 and then paragraph 2 you start describing something absolutely different which has nothing to do with paragraph 1, which has no link or no connection with paragraph 1. Please don't do that. Make sure that whenever you read your sentences, whenever you read your paragraph, you should feel that there is a flow. I am on my track. I have stayed connected with the topic from the first line to the last line, and there is no play whatsoever in my writing where someone, when they start reading it, they will feel lost, that what is he trying to or she trying to say when they write this line, right? So you have to be very careful with that. The next set of important words for me would be spellings, grammar, and your vocabulary. These play a very important role because whenever there is writing involved, there are high chances that we make spelling mistakes, and we have to again make sure that we proofread our work with a lot of patience. Every single word we need to scan and read it properly, so that if by chance we have made any spelling error, we can identify the error and correct it immediately, right? Moving on to the next one, we also need to be careful about our grammar. A lot of times I've seen that the focus on ideas, the focus on content, on what to write is so much that how to write it, spellings, grammar, is neglected a lot of times, which again is not a good thing. There has to be a balance between content, what to write, and how to write, which means your spellings, your grammar, your vocabulary, because all these together will give you the score. Focusing on one and neglecting the other will not play a very happy role in your life. So I would again make sure that I proofread and make sure that everything I have written is grammatically correct. If you are someone who is struggling a lot when they write sentences and you're someone who struggles a lot with grammar, prefer writing every sentence in past tense. All right. Whenever you are confused, what should I write? Make sure that you write any story, any example in past tense, because whatever you are writing, you have written it on the basis of an experience you might have encountered or on basis of something you might have heard or read. That has happened in the past for you, and now you're just describing that scenario. Keeping that concept in mind would make your job easy when you write your sentences in past tense and describe any scenario in past tense. Grammar has to be taken care of. Every sentence you write should be grammatically correct and should make sense as well. The next part I would like to describe is vocabulary. We all know what vocabulary is and how big of a role it plays, especially in your IELTS exam. Now, when we say vocabulary, try to use less common words. Try not to repeat the words in your essay writing or in your letter writing. Whatever you write, if you have used a word once, try avoiding the use of that word again. That will give you a better score when you use different words, wide range of vocabulary, and also when you use less common words. For example, let's say you want to describe something and your intention is to describe someone who is very thick skinned, right? So instead of writing so and so is very thick skinned, I would write pachyderm, right? So Pachyderm. The moment I write pachyderm, I still mean thick skinned, but I have used a word which is less common, and definitely I will not repeat that word again in my writing. This less common word will be one of the reasons that you will get a good writing score. Another example, let's say you're describing about food, any delicacy, and you want to describe it as interesting or something very good, delicious. Instead of writing those common words like interesting, interested, delicious, or any delicacy, if I write down palatable, again, a less commonly used word, all right, will help me get a better score. But again, a suggestion for all of you, make sure that whenever you write a phrase or a proverb or a word that is less common, it should have the correct meaning. You should be aware of the correct meaning. It should be relevant to what you're trying to explain, to the topic that you're trying to explain. Just for the use or just for the sake of using that less common word, please don't use any word that you're not sure of what meaning it holds, whether if you write it, will it give the correct meaning, will it deliver the correct message. If you're not confident, you should avoid using it, but if you are confident, then you should use these less common vocabulary words. And lastly, I would say, do not go for long sentences, very long sentences. The longer your sentence, more chances of you making grammatical errors, more chances of you making other errors where you may get off track, sidetracked. Try to keep your sentences short and sweet and to the point, I would say, or even average length is fine, but not too long. Let's say you start a sentence, don't write a sentence that finishes after 3 lines. That will make your life miserable and difficult, is what I would say. Keep it straight to the point. Everybody, whosoever is reading your work, everybody loves reading anything that is straight to the point and is not beating around the bushes, right? So please keep that in mind. You will make less mistakes or sometimes no mistakes because you've followed this path of writing average length sentence. Let's say 1 line sentence, or 1.5 is the maximum I would advise, right? Or let's say maximum 2 line sentence, but not 3 or 4 or 5 line sentence. That is not something I would recommend. With that, I hope that this video in which I shared the tips about IELTS writing was helpful to all of you. Please follow all these tips in your IELTS writing, and that will help you to get a good writing score. And if there is anything that is bothering you regarding IELTS, you can always put that in the comment section below, and we are more than happy to make a video on that subject, on that topic, so that we can help all of you through our videos. Bye for now.